Hello.
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good evening.
Good
Mr.
evening.
Paul.
Yes, where are you calling from?
I'm Ibrahim. I'm calling from Ijra.
Oh, you are in Nigeria?
Yes, sir.
You live there?
Yes, I live here. I was born and bred here.
Is it a nice place to live?
Very.
Where were
And
you?
quite recent-
Where were you on the day this happened?
Yes, I was around. I was at home. I knew what happened would happen.
Why?
I would blame the police because the incident happened late Sunday evening, early Sunday morning, if I should put it that way. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I'm still listening.
The incident, the murder of Kaka was brutally hit at his residence at the early hours of Sunday, around 2 a.m. Around 2 a.m. So, there was an eyewitness to that event, to what happened. She lives in the same house with Kaka. It was unfortunate enough that her husband wasn't around. Her husband had traveled to the north. So she wasn't bold enough. She went to wake Kaka's wife up. There was another teacher in the house who helped to pick the late Kaka to the hospital that night. Later, the same teacher, together with the wife, went to police station to make a case. So this eyewitness in Kaka's house, she called her husband and informed him. That Monday, the husband came. They went to the police command. A drug police commander, this issue was reported to him on Monday. The police failed to make arrests. There is one Bala Isaka. Bala called the Mampon Divisional Police Commander, informed him. Right before Bala, immediately after Bala's call, the Mampon Divisional Police Commander called a drug police command. Then the issue was handed over to one CID called Ken, who is a CID officer in Ijra. What Ken said that Monday was that the issue, it was too late. And there is a news intel they got that from Kaka's house that the guy who the eyewitness claimed committed the crime is a mad person. And it was so late, so they couldn't make that arrest. If they had arrested the culprit that night, what happened for us to lose two young guys wouldn't have happened. The police failed to make the arrest. The following morning, after we went to the burial ground, buried the guy. What I'm telling you, Ejra Kontihini is aware of this. Ejra Kontihini is aware of this because on that Monday, Nana Kontihini was informed about it. Nana Kontihini was informed about it. No arrest was made. Now, what happened had happened. The following morning, as we went to the cemetery ground to bury the dead, the youths were incited by our own MP, Mohamed Bawa Brema. The reason why Mohamed Bawa Brema incited this youth was that he said during the 2020 campaign season, the first two suspects who were arrested, who were picked up by the police on Monday, exactly 10:45, that those people were among those he claimed they attacked him during 2020 campaigning season at a village called Hienwo, that they attacked him. So this man has vowed that he will fight them at any opportunity he gets. So our MP, I don't know whether if you have been following some of his interviews, you will realize that whichever opportunity he gets, he mentions the first two suspects who were picked up on Monday, that those people beat him up at Hienwo and nothing was done about it. This is the time he thinks he has to pay them back.
Okay, so let me understand. Hold on, you are saying something very important. Let me understand the point you are making. The MP is an NDC MPP or MPP MP?
NDC MP.
He's an NDC MP, and you are saying that
Yes.
he has been alleging that some people attacked him during the election campaign.
Yes.
And these are the same people that the police have picked as suspects for the murder.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you are thinking that he gave the police the information to pick up these people?
Yes. And then there's one thing you should, Mr. Paul, there's one thing you should also consider. Check. All those who led the demonstration are all NDC. Remember one thing, Kaka has never been a member of any group such as Fix Ghana. As a matter of fact, Kaka is an illiterate. And he is an MPP member too. Why is the NDC picking this issue up? If not that they have their diabolic agenda. Mr. Paul, looking at the demonstrations, all the structures they have destroyed are NPP structures.
Structures like what?
The bases where most of the NPP youth normally sits. Consider most of the videos on social media platforms, on Joy News media channel. Most of the demonstrations which happened before the shootings were all NPP structures.
MPP structures like,
NPP structure.
Give us some more examples, like where the youth sit and where else?
They went to FM base, they vandalized FM base. There is another place they call Baba Amadou place. They went there to that place too. It is painted in MPP colors. They vandalized that place. You go to Ejram and Passem, just a road leading to the cemetery. There is another base there. They vandalized that place. Going towards Ashakoko, there is a base there painted in MPP colors called Kandahar. They went to that place, they vandalized that place. So all these places, they take where NPP youth guys normally sit. They went and attacked these places. What we thought was that after the first two suspects had been picked, all we were hoping for was calm to come, because these are the people are alleging that they committed the crime. Mm-hmm. And no evidence had been had come out. Nobody had come out with any concrete evidence. There hasn't been any witness to attest to that fact. But yes, there is a rumor going about town that they had a quarrel with the deceased sometime a few weeks before his death. So they are claiming that these people may have hand in his death. That was why they were picked. So we thinking that since these people had been picked, tempest will come down. But nothing of such happened. They went to this guy, the two suspects places. They vandalized their rooms. There is one guy who was picked, Ibrahim Isaka. They have destroyed everything in his room. They have destroyed everything in his room, everything. In fact, his windows, all his windows and the doors have been taken away. He is just a suspect. Whilst we have someone whom someone had seen clearly, the person lives in the same house with, police failed to effect the arrest of that person, leading to the death of another two young innocent guys. Because these guys went on demonstration thinking that Anyas and Alassane committed the crime. But this wasn't the fact. Now the third person had been picked. Now the ball game has started turning around. The MP for Idris Echedumasi is going around on every media platform that he gets opportunity to talk on. He is always blaming the MCE. Do you know why? No. The MCE would let him squander the MP's common fund. So there has been this kind of rival.
Well, I get that. Let's get back to the story. But this is very interesting. You are telling us some important things. I have to say that we have no basis to believe what you are saying because we don't know you. But we are happy that you are talking to us. Are you a member of the MPP in Nigeria?
Yes, please.
You are a member of the MPP in Nigeria?
Yes, please.
So you know that Kaka is a member of your party?
Yes, Kaka is a member of our party.
And you are saying that all of what we are seeing is being originated by the NDC MP. That's the allegation you are making.
Yes.
And that the youth that are demonstrating are largely NDC youth. That's the allegation you are making.
About 80% of them are NDC youth.
Okay, you say another important matter, that the person who killed Kaka was seen by another person.
And do you know the funny thing, Mr. Paul Adumoche?
No.
The person who killed Kaka is his own biological brother.
Kaka's brother?
Kaka's brother.
No, so this
man, his name is Idi Muhammad. As we speak now, he has been picked by Asante Regional Police Command. Currently, as we speak, he is in Kumasi as we speak right now.
Okay, so
let me tell you, let me give you a brief story about Kaka's brother before we continue. Please, if you give me that opportunity.
Yeah, go on.
Kaka's brother, Idi Muhammad, has been in Nigeria for about 18 years. Mm-hmm. So when he returned back, he had series of problems with Kaka himself and the entire family. As we speak right now, please call Ejura Police Command. His mother had reported him to the police that he threatened to kill her son Kaka, and Kaka's wife, where he was arrested and detained for 2 days at Ejura Police Station. This same person had ever been arrested at Ejura Police Station with a reason that he has threatened to kill Kaka himself, Kaka's wife, and even the Kaka's mother herself. You can call at the Ejura Police Station to confirm what I am telling you this night.
We will definitely follow up, but this is very important. So you are saying that who is the eyewitness that you say may have seen this person?
She lives in the same house with Kaka.
Did she tell you that she saw it?
Yes. As what I'm telling you right now, Kesben FM has taken the story up because they have interviewed her. Zuria FM in Ejura have interviewed her. Please, you check Zuria FM online. You check their portal on Facebook. They have it on their page on Facebook. You will get what I'm telling you. She spoke in Hausa because she's the Goma by tribe, and Zuria FM too is Hausa station.
I see. This is interesting. Okay.
You can get it on Zuria FM.
So
this woman is living in the same house with Kaka, his wife, his mother, and then the brother. And what makes this story so interesting is that this woman was inside her room. According to her narration, she was inside her room, and then she heard a sound like as if someone is hitting something with an object. The hitting when it came out twice. So when an object was hitting twice, then she heard the place was so quiet. Then again, what she heard was like something was trying to breathe, like an animal trying to breathe hard. So she opened her door. The moment she opened her door, she saw Kaka's brother dragging him on the ground, pulling him towards, there is a sheep pen at the entrance of the house. So he was dragging him on the floor towards the pen. Upon seeing her, he decided to run out. So she shouted in front of their house. Paul Adumoche, I wish you can come to Ejura, go to Kaka's place. You look at how their building is like, and you will understand me more. When she shouted, there are some people who are just using an outside door in front of the house. So a woman who is living outside, using an outside door, heard the voice. So she also wanted to come inside the house. She met Kaka's brother just at the entrance of the house, and then he ran away. This makes the witnesses two. We have two witnesses who had all gone to the police station, written their statements. We informed the police.
This is very important, and
we informed the police. Ejura Police Command refused to make the arrest. If they had arrested Kaka's brother on Monday, the two young guys who died on Tuesday wouldn't have died. Because the demonstration which happened, which went on Tuesday, wouldn't have happened.
This is a very serious matter.
The police,
Chief,
kept quiet on this issue.
We will.
But I'm telling you, Ejura County is aware of this.
We will take your number. Yeah, my producer will take your number, and then we will make further contact with you. We are delighted to come to Ejura on this story and look at what you are telling us in some detail, so we can relay it to our viewers. But you have given us very, very useful information. Where are you calling us from, by the way?
I am in Ejura. In Ashanti region.
How are you watching us? On TV, DSTV, which one?
No, this one, I was watching you on Facebook.
Oh, you are watching us on Facebook?
Yes, I'm watching you on Facebook.
Can I ask a few questions?
The public.
Can I ask a few questions about you before you could give your final?
Yes, please.
How old are you?
As you speak, I'm 37 years of age.
What work do you do?
I am a teacher.
A trained teacher?
Yes, please.
So you teach in a school in Ejura?
Yes, please.
So you are well known?
Yes, please.
What name do people know you by?
Ibrahim Papa Antaro.
Ibrahim Papa Antaro.
Yes, sir.
And you are a member of the NPP?
Yes, please.
I see. And the member of parliament in Ejura is an NDC member of parliament?
Yes, please.
And you said
he
that...
has problem, and there is one contending issue, sir.
Mm-hmm.
He said the MCE for Justice Chidumasi, Alhaji Mohammed Salih Subamba, pulled his legs. And then what he heard was that this man, it is possible that this man would be retained again. So he would do anything possible to make sure they don't retain him as the MCE. Okay,
I get the point. So the two bodyguards of the MCE, about whom we have heard in the media that...
Mr. Paul Adume Audrey.
Yes, sir.
MCE for Justice Chidumasi doesn't have a bodyguard. Wherever he wants to go and he thinks he needs security, there is a policeman at Ejura police station that he normally goes out with.
I see. Okay,
yes.
so those two people who were originally picked up,
you are NPP members, yes, but they are not MC's bodyguard because he doesn't use bodyguards.
Okay, so the basis of your story is that this murder was seen, alleged murder was seen. The perpetrators were seen, and that report was given to the police. That if the police had acted on that report, we would not be where we are.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
So I will entreat the IGP to probe deep into this issue. Because if the police had acted on Monday upon receiving that information, we wouldn't be where we are now.
Okay, please hold on. My producer will take your number. Give your number to them. We'll do further consultations with you, and then we'll come to Ejura and see you, and then you take us to the spot so we can bring the information to our viewers. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir.
Well, so this television can get results. This may be one of the most important testimonies for the committee that has been set up by the Honorable Minister. It's very, very important testimony here that he's outlining, and I don't know what to make of it. But we are going to talk to him, and then we will see whether, in our own small way, we can find some basis to support what he's saying. We'll go to Ejura the weekend and find some basis to support what he's saying. If there are bases, we can send the information to the ministerial committee, but we will publish it on Tuesday here so that you can all tell what happened, what we saw. This is a very interesting story. The polarization of politics in Ghana is getting very, very difficult, and we have been saying for a long time that a winner-takes-all situation in Ghana is going to kill our democracy. Let us all begin to have a look at the winner-takes-all. Let's probably revisit President Akufo-Addo's suggestion that let's elect our MCEs. Let political parties elect them. Let us elect them on political basis so parties can have something to hold on to. So a winner of the presidential election is not going to take everything. Other political parties can win other MCE seats. They can win the mayor of Accra, can win the mayor of Ho, they can win the mayor of Kumasi. By now, the NDC would have been campaigning to win the mayor of Takoradi because that's a big one. We really need to deconstruct the winner-takes-all situation of our 1992 constitution, because whoever wins the presidential election controls everything. Whichever political party wins the presidential election controls everything. We have now seen that even if you win parliament, or even if parliament is close, it doesn't really matter, because the power lies with the executive, because the executive controls everything. We have to break the winner takes all. We really have to revisit that conversation about, do we elect our MCs and our DCs and our mayors on political partisan lines, so that NDC can win some, MPP can win some, so that the executive power is spread across. Maybe that's a conversation for another day, but we were in strong support for that. Many people didn't like it, or other people didn't like it, but that's what we're seeing. The winner takes all is damning, it's killing us. No democracy that has survived on a winner takes all constitution of a president who has a winner takes all situation. It doesn't work that way. And let us be clear, we had a president who was recommending that I can appoint all the DCs like President Akufo-Addo is about to do now. He says, I don't want to do that anymore. Let the people vote on party lines. And that created hue and cry. I don't know why. I don't know what to say. But that's where we are. America doesn't have a winner takes all. Britain doesn't have a winner takes all. Australia doesn't have a winner takes all. South Africa doesn't have a winner takes all. Even Nigeria doesn't have a winner takes all situation. Nigeria does not have a winner takes all. The government sits in Abuja. The opposition can win Lagos, and they can control Lagos. So why do we have a winner-takes-all situation that is destroying our democracy? Because when people come into position and they have nothing to do but to wait for the next election, as professional politicians, what do you expect them to do? They'll be fomenting trouble here and there because they have to maintain relevance. People have to maintain relevance, they'll be fomenting trouble. And that's what we have, because our constitution gives us a winner-takes-all situation. We should change that.